report.
Hey, how are you?
Okay, how about you?
Good.
They need to come down.
No, I think they do. He feels like he has to be there.
Yeah, I hear you.
Hey,
Hi, Betty.
how are you?
All right,
They did what they did to
Morning, sir.
Jeremy.
Morning.
How are you?
Hey, how about you? Ruby and Dina.
How are you today?
How are you?
Nope.
Can I see you back
How are
at
you?
the council commission meeting?
Yep.
Yeah.
We had a nice little visit.
Good.
I haven't seen them for.
His coverage is almost as good as
Did you know they were coming?
They just stopped by on their way home.
Yep, good.
Stopped when.
Truck broke down this morning.
Yeah.
Need help afterwards?
Huh?
You need help afterwards?
Or they don't know us.
Took Stacy's car.
Hi, sis. Okay.
Had to have it
Last time I'm coming.
towed over there to.
Your AAA number?
No, God no.
You know, some insurance policies have towing. Did you get free, did you get towing on your insurance? It covers it too. Yeah, I belong to AAA. I raised 3 dogs. I had to call AAA a
Hold on, I was AAA.
Huh?
I was AAA.
Were you?
For your daughter.
Well, that's true, you were. When AAA failed us, you were there.
Okay. Guess who does it?
Probably, because they can't be, they have to have.
Hey, good morning.
What's up, Louie? You party with the brother-in-law tonight?
I hope not.
He probably already started.
He hasn't quit since last week.
Oh.
I guess.
Is he still a dancing fool? He's the best
You
dancer.
got part of that right anyway.
He's the best dancer I ever seen.
Hey, Louis, what would be the difference between New Year's and any other night with them?
I know. I know.
He got more
You
resume.
can't take your in-laws.
No.
More
But you
resume.
still got
than I
claim
got
on
on
it.
Yeah.
You still got claim on
No.
it.
Well, we were together, Jake came in from, his wife came in. All the kids came in. And they needed to go get something. Jake drove 17 hours to get here, right? And, him and DeClue and Zero sat there, and Jake and the family went to get sushi or something, I don't know. You haven't seen this guy drive 17 hours and.
I'm ready, brother.
He probably already.
Call this meeting to order, if you don't mind, roll call, please.
Mr. Wilkinson.
Present.
Commissioner Mullins.
Present.
Mr. Gallagher is absent, and we note that in the minutes.
Okay. Now, if you don't mind, stand and participate at your desire for the pledge of allegiance and invocation. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for all the blessings we've received, especially at this special time of year. We ask that you be with us and guide our hand as we do the business of the county. All right, bear with me, I'm filling for the presiding commissioner as he's out of town. and I'll do my best, but I hope I don't screw up. I'll do my best. Anyway, we have, first off is a tentative agenda, includes the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Agenda.
And I would second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 That's it. We have a list of everything.
I had to read that.
The minutes, the monthly reports from the county clerk, monthly report from public administrator, the Nest Board resignation, Diane Williams, and appointment of Kelsey Halsey, new hire for the assessor, Rhonda Thomas. That was to replace a position that had just recently become vacant. Juvenile department request to dispose of broken equipment, so take them off the book. So all those things fall under consent. I just wanted to read those. They need the list. They are standard fare.
Thank you very much. No tabled agenda items, but under general business, we'll start with property taxing district error and Justin Jones. Would you care to stand by the mic here? Hopefully the assessor will help us with some of this. If I understand this right, you were placed in a wrong taxing district when you...
Yeah, I was taxed in city limits.
Would you say your name, please?
Justin Jones.
There you go, thank you.
I was taxed in the city limits of Iron Mountain. I live about 3 miles away.
Okay, and that's over 3 years past?
16, 17, and 18.
Okay. Dan, can you offer anything, or how come?
I'd be glad to.
Stand beside you.
On real estate, it automatically demonstrates the correct taxing entity for the homeowners. On personal property, it has to be keyed in by an office personnel. In this case, they hit the wrong key, putting him in Iron Mountain Lake, which was higher than Bismarck, where he should be. We have since corrected that, but he is looking at reimbursement because of the error of the assessor's office.
Okay, with that being said, I would move that we reimburse Mr. Jones in the amount of $1,397.46.
Gus, is that okay? Was that what you're seeking? Okay. You have any discussion?
Pam's got it.
How are we gonna do this? Are we going, is it going to be adjusted on his taxes for the upcoming year?
Would
or
that be
this
the
year?
best way to do it?
Well, I'm just asking.
Past, haven't we just reimbursed and took it out of general?
Well, I think the problem you're saying is those monies have been dispersed to the entities already.
Well, they have, but, I mean, we can, with the paid receipts, we can refund it out and then.
We don't have a preference how it's done, as long as we make this right, and the best way to do that would be, wow.
Signed it and we've reimbursed the citizen, because I know this isn't the first mistake that we've made, you know. But with 38, 40,000 receipts that go out, you know, you're gonna have a mistake.
Our policy is, our operational policy is that if it's our error or part of our error, we will refund or partially refund. In this case, we're asking to refund.
We can do that so that the county is not out. What we do is we just short the district or whatever month we do it in. So it's, you know, taking it from the right place instead of taking it out of general revenue.
And
That's what I would recommend.
Okay.
well, I think that should be nice here. Okay.
Well, hold on a second, go ahead. Not voted on that amendment. I mean, that motion, so as the county collector suggested, make that a motion and, to amend that, and then vote on your motion and you're good.
I would move that we amend the motion.
And you would second that? All right, now there's discussion on that amendment.
Any other discussion?
I want to point out one thing. I didn't realize the city, county employee, but we are doing as Dan, and you have said the exact same thing that we've done several times before this year, when it's our mistake. We're not treating our county employee any different than so, with With that, take a vote on the
Okay.
amendment.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Now call the question on the underlying motion. Discussion, you can go ahead and vote on it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Okay. Thank you, Justin. Sorry for the inconvenience there. Okay, the next thing is approval to make the 2019 budget amendments from budget to actual. That's this current year, and we've gotten here it is.
This will be, can I point this out?
Sure.
This is gonna be, we're gonna go ahead and put this in our minutes. This is, everything has to be changed. We don't make any amendments, and Amber did a great job of preparing everyone that we're having to do now. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, we have till the 17th of January to get their expenses in for this previous year, because sometimes you have credit cards or bills that come in, and then you all, according to this, will have to make another finalizing adjustment to the budget before January 31st, as it says. So I will have a copy of this if anybody wants it, and it will be reflected in the minutes.
And informationally, I hope I'm telling this right too, we're prohibited from adjusting the budgets through the year. You can't do that. You can at the end of the cycle, is that right? And that's what this is being requested. When we make a budget at the beginning of the year, there's no way of knowing what all is gonna happen in the year, so we do our best. This is the time of year we make those adjustments, and this will be to the actual expenses we incurred, so. I have a motion to make the budget amendment as presented.
So moved.
And I would second that. Anybody have a comment? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The next is ozone closeout report
Yes.
for 2019. Commissioner Mullins.
Commissioners, in 2008, the SEMO RPC created the Air Quality Committee, and it was established in response to national ambient air quality standards that reduced allowable levels of ground level ozone from 80 parts per billion to the 75 parts per billion. It's comprised of elected officials from Iron County, Madison, Cape, Bollinger, St. Francis, and St. Genevieve County. Basically, the EPA designated the city of St. Louis, St. Charles, St. Louis County, and a portion of Franklin County in Missouri as non-attainment for the 2015 ozone max. Jefferson County and the remainder of Franklin County were not included in the non-attainment area for the 2015. So what happens now? Both monitors are in compliance with air standards for 2019. We want St. Francis County to continue to be listed as attainment. Attainment simply means that any new development or significant modification to an existing facility must meet best available controlled technology standards for an air permit to be issued. By being classified as non-attainment directly, the regulations imposed would result in costs to local businesses, industry, and governments. Indirectly, the simple fact of designation would make economic development efforts more difficult. The central reason for this is that the standard for air permits in non-attainment areas is least achievable emissions rate. This is, in effect, the cost is no object standard, and incoming businesses needing an air permit that are not directly tied to a specific location will simply move to where the less restrictive standards are in place. One of the main arguments for St. Francis County, and continues to be, that St. Francis County is not creating large amounts of ozone. This has been and will continue to be the St. Francis County's position. Therefore, it remains important for all of us to do what we can to promote good practices and help keep ozone conforming. Our efforts to educate our citizens on those things we have been talking about for several years. In closing, I will continue to attend the air quality meetings held once a quarter in Perryville. The St. Francis County will continue to educate the public and do a saturation effect to that end. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, email pmullins@sfcgov.org, or phone number 573-631-9301. Some of the data that we've got, and we've presented this in the past, for volatile organic compounds, all EPA 7 county RPC is less what the Ford Motor Company plant in Kansas City produces. Nitrogen, Thomas Hill Energy Center, which is up in Randolph County. John Truesdale happens to be the presiding commissioner, and talking to him, they emit more than all the 7 county RPC. That's been our hard facts that we've presented, and we'll continue that approach. So why do we have to stay on top of this? Well, if you're looking at new ozone regulations, you know, the cost for Missouri, and they did a study from 2017 to 2040, you're looking at a $700 drop in average household consumption per year. $6 million more for residents to own and operate their vehicles from 2017 to 2040, and a $9 billion in total compliance for those same years. So we're continuing to watch this. We'll continue to saturate the citizens, and it's good to attend these meetings and express our opinions with this commission. Back in 2015, sent a comment period to then Gina McCarthy, the EPA director, and voiced our concerns. We want to continue to keep it at the 70 parts per million standard, and that's really all I got. Yep.
It's important to me that we remain in attainment. We don't have to do emissions testing with your vehicle inspections, and
Right.
we don't believe we're a problem. We don't want to become subject to
Is the net result that we get more manufacturing concerns in St. Francis County or less manufacturing concerns?
I'm sorry, say it again.
What's the net result? Is it helping us develop commerce in the county or not?
Absolutely. If there's less restrictions, which, you know, we've got the science and we've got the facts that basically state St. Francis County is not an emitter of ozone. So therefore, we're more open to bring manufacturing in areas that are listed as non-attainment, such as up in St. Louis and that kind
So,
of.
man, let's say a trash can manufacturer or something like that would more likely relocate here than one of those other counties where the standards are higher. Is that what I'm
Sure.
following? Okay.
Yeah, if I could address that, because we fought that for years, not being in that attainment area. When you get Siegel Roberts out there, anything that emits anything has to be regulated, and their flow has to be counted in there. Well, if you say your attainment area is here, and any factory you bring in causes you to go above it, then you've got problems. And what this does, that attainment area is a lot stricter. So we can't bring any, we probably couldn't even have like Siegel Roberts, who employs 500 some odd people, because because the restrictions of being in that containment area, their discharge could not be done. We had a big problem down at Glover, out at that plant down there. Same thing. If they're in the St. Louis attainment area, the restrictions are so much more restrictive than we have, because ours is lower, and so they're not looking at everything. And that's the reason for that is, since they have real restrictions, every factory that comes in that St. Louis area has to prove that they will not damage that level. And we're fortunately not quite. Have to prove it. Anybody comes in to show that that won't take us up to a higher level. But that's the purpose. You have to show that your attainment levels are reasonable.
You guys probably can't answer the question, but if we're all gonna be like dead in a dozen years due to climate change.
It's 11 years now.
Okay, why do we care how big the hole in the ozone layer is? You know, it's something that don't make sense. But I'm just joking, speaking.
I'm not gonna have any more kids.
Okay, thank you. That was a report, and we appreciate it. We have a request for a new hire at the collector's office, Pamela Williams. This is not a brand new employee, it's a replacement, is that right?
Yes. I hired a temporary lady named she has done a great job, and I want to hire her full-time to replace an employee that we have lost.
Motion to approve the collector's request.
Second that motion.
The only thing is, we could have had that on our consent agenda, but since it had been a while and we had a temporary in between, even though the position was
Any other comments? All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. One other thing. You know, you saw that. Next on the agenda is again from Pam, and it is about write-off of real estate taxes that will go to trustee.
We have two different kind of real estate write-offs right now. We have the fifth-year write-off, which is taxes that have not been paid for over 5 years. The total amount of that is $235.18. So that's what we call a fifth-year write-off. Now, the amount that's going to the trustee is quite a bit larger because it had been through the tax sale 3 years and not sold. So it is $22,071.35. We write those off, but when the trustee, Barb Shelton, sells them, we put them on the books again.
So if it doesn't sell, it just remains the way it is, huh?
If it doesn't sell, it's tax exempt until Barb sells it.
I entertain a motion to accept the recommendation of the county collector.
So moved.
Second that. Any comments or questions? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's it for the general business. Is there any correspondence? Comment? Report?
Commissioners?
Yes.
We are trying to attempt, the auditor's office is attempting to finalize the inventory assets list. The county office holders were notified in October of this attempt. They were given a December deadline. We still do not have some office holders that are complying. I'd like to have that noted.
There's some, but if you let us know, we'll do what
Thank
we
you
can.
very much.
You bet. And hearing anything, is there anything else anybody would like to raise at this meeting? I do need to make a motion, or note that January begins a new term of the commission, and that requires that we meet on Monday. Monday the 6th, we'll meet on our regular session at 10 a.m. and by all means.
Real quick, briefly.
Sure.
I just was inquiring as to whether all the office holders have their job descriptions in. Because I know that we have some advancements under advisement and some of them being held to the job description and not being brought in by all the office holders. And I was wondering, if not, how soon can we look at that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to address that. All of them have not done that. But the holdup is not their descriptions, it's the fact that during this process of the budget, Amber primarily is going to have to do for the auditor a work description and a workflow, and that's the time they determined that they would do the job descriptions as she's looking at their workflow along. So as soon as she's done with this budget, I assume you're gonna start on that at that point.
It's actually an internal control audit is what we call it, so we would go through, all the offices had provided us with their internal controls that they have in their office, so we would then go through and test those and see, like you said, the workflow as far as who's responsible for what in each office and get that documented at the time and work with.
Does HR have all my job descriptions that I turned in last year then?
Yep.
Because they have mine. Does that have to be shared with the auditor then so they can do that, or how does that work? Do you need that?
We would have already had your internal controls provided to us last year.
Okay.
If you've got an individual that you would like to talk to HR about, you can come over.
I'd like to say that we have received requests for changes, job status changes, and they are on hold until we can get a handle on this. And I apologize to anybody that's being delayed, but this is important. We got to get this baseline set up and consistent from now on out. So, anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Move that we adjourn.
Second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, folks. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good celebration, and we'll see you next year. I had to use that.